Hello and welcome. On our search for success and happiness, we so often look outside of ourselves. But what if the real key is actually found within, planted a long, long time ago? Today, we're going to explore a really deep question. Where does virtue truly come from? Let's begin this important journey together. So, what is the foundation of a good and meaningful life? Is it something we can just learn quickly, like a new skill for a job? Or are its roots much, much deeper? This is the central question we're going to unpack together today. All right, let's start with something you've probably seen. We live in a world that wants instant solutions for everything, and now that even applies to character. We're seeing this trend where virtue isn't treated as a way of life, but more like a performance that needs to be perfected. A lot of big companies are spending a ton of money to train their staff in politeness. It's an approach that's a lot like the old saying, waiting until you're thirsty to dig a well, only looking for a solution when the problem is already here. But can real virtue, genuine goodness, actually be taught in a 2-month seminar? Let's just look at the contrast here. A trained smile, it often feels forced, right? A little stiff. Its goal isn't really sincere respect, but material gain. On the other hand, politeness that comes from the heart feels warm, it's genuine, and it's totally natural. It's really the difference between a simple transaction and a true human connection. So if virtue can't be rushed, where do we find its true source? Well, the wisdom of the ancients points to one place: the very beginning. The real work isn't a quick fix in adulthood, but a careful cultivation that has to start in childhood. There's a classic saying that captures this perfectly. If a child is not taught, their nature will change. This powerfully illustrates that a child's inherent goodness needs to be nurtured. If it's neglected, it can be lost, and trying to patch things up later in life is just incredibly difficult. Some truly profound wisdom on this comes from the ancient I Ching, which says, Mong zi yu xing cheng, tang kong ya. Now, that might sound a little cryptic, but its meaning is an incredibly powerful guide for any parent or educator. Let's break down what it really means. Okay, so Mong represents the tender, fragile beginning of life, almost like a brand new seedling. Yong Chan means to cultivate righteousness and integrity. Put together, the whole phrase tells us that nurturing a child's moral compass from their very earliest days is a sacred act, a contribution as impactful as the work of a great sage. Theory is one thing, but what does this actually look like in real life? I want to share a simple, beautiful story that shows the power of this early foundation, a moment where the simple action of a child taught an entire room of adults a profound lesson. The scene is really simple. A group of adults and one young child are sitting down for a meal together. The food arrives, it's fragrant, it's appealing, and it's placed on the table for everyone to share. As the delicious dishes were served, the adults immediately reached for their chopsticks, eager to start. But in that moment of haste, they noticed something. The child wasn't eating. Instead, what was the child doing? While everyone else was rushing, the child simply bowed their head and quietly recited these words. It was a prayer of gratitude, acknowledging everyone and everything that brought that meal to the table. And in that instant, all the adults just paused, their chopsticks hovering in mid-air. Think about that. Who at that table was truly the happiest? The root of so much of our own unease comes from only thinking about ourselves. But this child, living with a heart full of gratitude, experiences a deep, lasting joy. A person who lives with gratitude is truly a happy person. Now, this early cultivation of virtue isn't just about creating a happy child. It's about building the foundation for a successful and resilient adult. And this is something that even the corporate world is starting to realize. It's a fascinating trend, really. Many large companies are now actively going to institutions that teach classical wisdom to find young talent. Why? Because leaders say that all too often, the people they hire lack integrity and a sense of responsibility. A young person raised with these values, who understands how to be a good person and how to do good work, is seen as an invaluable asset, someone who can stand firm through any challenge. So you can see this clear path emerge. It starts with sowing the seeds of virtue in childhood. From there, a grateful heart begins to bloom, which leads to genuine happiness. And from that stable foundation, a person can build a truly sustainable, successful life. It's a beautiful, natural process. So what does all this mean for us?
especially for those of us who are parents. It completely reframes the role of parenting. It's not just a responsibility, it's perhaps the most sacred and impactful work a person can ever do.
And we come back to this powerful idea. If you successfully raise a child to be a good, virtuous person, your contribution to the world is as profound as that of a great sage. You're not just raising a child, you're shaping the future and bringing light into the world through them. The foundation of a truly happy life isn't found in a training manual. It's planted, it's nurtured, and it grows from the very beginning. This is the work of a lifetime, and it's the most worthy work there is. The future isn't built in boardrooms, it's built in the hearts of our children. If you found these ideas helpful, I invite you to subscribe so you don't miss our future journeys together.